I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail.
So it's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much.
The courtroom air hung thick with tension, every whisper amplified in the sudden silence. Blake Lively, usually a picture of poised Hollywood glamour, was visibly unraveling. Tears streamed down her face as an audio recording filled the room, a recording that threatened to rewrite the entire narrative of a bitter dispute. What began as whispers of creative differences on the set of It Ends With Us had exploded into a full-blown legal war, and this leaked phone call was the bombshell that no one saw coming. How did a promising film adaptation descend into such a shocking spectacle of accusation and emotional breakdown?
Hey, Blake. It is 2 in the morning. Hopefully this does not wake you up. Whew. Wow. There's so much I want to say to you, and I hope that we can FaceTime or see each other in person soon and get to talk more. But I'm just gonna send you a few thoughts, and hopefully it's not gonna be more than a few minutes. But that I don't have the best track record. I don't think either one of us have the best track record for our voice memos. I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry.
I mean, honestly, the way that I get into a character is through their style. So it was more about who Lily is that was so fascinating to me, is that she's a walking, talking contradiction, yet it's perfectly harmonious for her.
When the initial announcements heralded the collaboration of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni to adapt Colleen Hoover's beloved novel, It Ends With Us, it felt like a dream pairing. Lively, a box office draw admired for her captivating screen presence and surprising depth as an actress. And Baldoni, an actor turned director and producer lauded for his sensitive and emotionally intelligent storytelling, particularly with projects like 5 Feet Apart. For fans of the novel, it was a match seemingly made in Hollywood heaven. Lively's inherent charisma appeared perfect to embody the complex lead character Lily, while Baldoni's reputation for nuanced, heartfelt narratives suggested a director who would treat the novel's delicate themes with respect and care. Early production stills offered tantalizing glimpses, carefully chosen locations, wardrobe hints suggesting a commitment to the book's aesthetic, all painting a picture of a production meticulously designed to honor the raw emotional core of Hoover's work. The anticipation was palpable. Fans eagerly awaited what seemed destined to be a faithful and moving cinematic translation of a cherished story.
It's based on a beautiful, really important book, and it's about a young woman named Lily who confronts the generational cycles in her life and breaks them and ends the circle. And I hope people find it inspiring, and yet also, you know, it's a film about a heavy topic. It's about domestic violence.
Yet beneath the veneer of this promising partnership, subtle tremors of creative discord began to ripple. Whispers circulated on industry blogs and social media, hinting at artistic differences, a clash of visions that threatened to derail the project. Reports emerged suggesting a fundamental disagreement over tone. Lively, known for her wit and comedic timing, was allegedly envisioning a film that incorporated lighter, more humorous elements, perhaps even leaning into a more flamboyant visual style with extravagant costumes and set designs. This approach, however, clashed directly with Baldoni's reportedly more earnest and grounded vision. He seemed to favor a faithful, emotionally raw interpretation, emphasizing the novel's heavier themes of trauma and difficult relationships, aiming for a film that resonated with stark realism and emotional depth. While some initially dismissed these as typical creative differences, the kind of healthy tension that can sometimes refine a project, the undercurrent of conflict was undeniably growing stronger, hinting at a deeper chasm forming between the two leads.
A lot of it's my real life clothes or my husband's clothes or my girlfriend Gigi's clothes. I was borrowing some.
Wait, that's kind of amazing. So you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which one?
It's just,
now I want to think of the scene.
Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
And tons of like Bodhi, which is with the suit now that I'm wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I
Wait,
borrowed
that's
it.
his suit?
It was meant for him to wear, but it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shot.
The simmering creative tension soon erupted into a full-blown legal conflagration, escalating far beyond typical Hollywood disagreements. The first major strike came when Blake Lively initiated legal proceedings, filing a lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the industry. Her claim was significant. She alleged that her creative contributions had been systematically marginalized throughout the production process. She asserted that she had been pressured into adopting an over-the-top comedic tone, complete with high-fashion, almost caricature-like wardrobe choices, a direction she felt fundamentally betrayed the nuanced and emotionally weighty source material. Baldoni, however, swiftly and decisively countered, escalating the conflict to a new level. He filed a countersuit for defamation, accusing Lively of deliberately misrepresenting the creative process and painting a distorted, damaging picture of his leadership on the film. The legal battle became a public spectacle, drawing intense media scrutiny and fan speculation. The stakes were raised even higher when Disney, a studio with immense power and influence, publicly aligned itself with Baldoni, throwing its corporate weight behind his legal defense. This move signaled a significant escalation, suggesting that the studio believed Baldoni's narrative and saw Lively's actions as potentially damaging, not just to the film, but to broader industry dynamics. But even with lawsuits flying and studios taking sides, the most dramatic twist was yet to come.
And I'm excited to have a creative partner in that with you. And it's just really exciting. There's so much more to say. There's so much I want to say. And there's one thing that I do need to say, which is I am so sorry you have been through what you've been through with these other filmmakers and producers or whoever the people were that you worked with. It just pissed me off. Those that I'm just still kind of blown away that this is the industry that we're in and that you've experienced that as a woman. And I know I don't need to say it, but that's not at all going to be or will be, and hopefully it's not been the experience with me. There's nothing more exciting to me like that I get to work with Blake Lively and have her, all of her. I mean, that's what I want. And so there's been no hesitancy with me sending you the final draft file. I am totally fine with that. The only reason I didn't send it today was because I was trying to implement and add your notes into my working draft, which is already like I'm all over that draft right now. So there's a whole bunch of new stars that are going to be collated pages. And I just haven't had a chance to send it to you.
Unforeseen and utterly explosive, a leaked phone recording detonated in the heart of the courtroom, instantly transforming the narrative. As the audio began to play, a hush fell over the room, broken only by the crackling sound emanating from the speakers. Every eye was fixed on Blake Lively, whose composure visibly fractured with each passing second. According to first-hand accounts from those in attendance, an audible gasp rippled through the gallery as the content of the recording became clear. The voice, undeniably Lively's, began by expressing clear and pointed dissatisfaction with the direction It Ends With Us was taking. She lamented the comedic elements, describing them as jarringly out of sync with the original novel's somber and emotionally resonant core. But it was what followed that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Legal analysts, piecing together accounts from inside, reported that Lively then appeared to discuss concrete strategies for subtly, yet deliberately shifting blame for these very comedic missteps squarely onto Justin Baldoni. The implication was devastatingly clear. Accusations of a calculated and premeditated attempt to manipulate public perception, to rewrite the narrative and distance herself from creative choices she had, at least initially, seemed to endorse. The recording hung in the air like a damning indictment, casting a dark shadow over Lively's public persona and dramatically bolstering Baldoni's claims of defamation.
I was testing for a show that ended up actually getting picked up and doing very well, and I was one of two people maybe, and then I get a call from my managers and my agent. They were both on the line, which means it's something serious. Right. Either you got the job or there's something wrong. Yeah. And they said, so you were the choice, but the network said that your eyebrows would be too distracting.
Oh, what? Oh no.
And then they went like, so what can we do about your eyebrows?
The courtroom witnessed a moment of raw, unfiltered emotion as Lively's own voice echoed back at her, seemingly exposing a private strategy now laid bare for public consumption. Tears streamed down her face, her shoulders began to tremble, and she instinctively raised a hand to shield her face from the intense scrutiny. It was a visceral display, a stark departure from her usual polished public image. Her legal team reacted swiftly, launching a vigorous objection. They argued that the audio was presented devoid of crucial context, a mere fragment of a longer, potentially nuanced conversation. Presenting this isolated snippet in open court, they insisted, was not only invasive but fundamentally misleading, painting a potentially distorted picture of Lively's true intentions. Baldoni's legal team, however, remained resolute, countering that the phone call was irrefutable, critical evidence directly substantiating their defamation claims. They argued that it captured, in Lively's own words, the very scheme they had long suspected, a calculated campaign to portray Baldoni as the creative villain and sway public sympathy in her favor. The immediate public and media reaction was volcanic. Social media platforms became battlegrounds, erupting in fervent debates. Justice for Justin and Stand with Blake trended as fans, and onlookers fiercely dissected every reported detail of the leaked call. Two opposing camps solidified, those who viewed the recording as an undeniable smoking gun, absolute proof of Lively's manipulative intent, and those who rallied to her defense, emphasizing the normalcy of private venting, the dangers of taking snippets out of context, and the potential for a more complex reality obscured by a partial audio clip.
And find my way back to center. That is one thing I can assure you of. And I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That must have felt terrible. And I will for sure do better. That was not my best weekend, and I should have given it more time. And damn right, you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that. And we should all have friends like that. Aside from the fact that they're two of the most creative people on the planet. The three of you guys together, it's unbelievable. Talk about energy and just to force all three of you. But I just wanted you to know that I didn't need that, because it's really good and it's going to make the movie sing like you said, and I'm excited to go through the whole movie with you. I'm just excited to spend time with you. I'm excited to be in your sphere and your presence, and for us to share creative juices together, although that sounds terrible. I think you and I have been trying to build a relationship, which I think we've done successfully. I mean, here we are.
Beyond the immediate shock of the voicemail, deeper, more probing questions about motives and potential manipulation surged to the forefront. Baldoni's legal team amplified their accusations, reiterating earlier claims of tampered evidence. They alleged that email exchanges, text message threads, and even critical production scheduling notes had been suspiciously altered, digitally manipulated to cast Baldoni in a negative light and bolster Lively's narrative of being creatively sidelined. They pointed to alleged inconsistencies in digital timestamps and subtle anomalies in the presented evidence, suggesting a deliberate effort to rewrite the history of the production. Lively's defense, meanwhile, doubled down on the narrative of genuine frustration and creative oppression. Her team argued that the leaked phone call, even if taken at face value, was born out of mounting frustration with a production spiraling in a direction she fundamentally disagreed with. She felt, they claimed, increasingly steered and forced into embracing a comedic tone that clashed with her artistic instincts, and, crucially, with the spirit of the source material. As early fan reactions began to criticize the film's perceived comedic slant, Lively reportedly felt cornered, fearing that her own professional brand and artistic integrity were on the line. This growing concern, her team argued, was the true catalyst for her initial lawsuit, a desperate attempt to salvage the project and steer it back towards a more faithful and respectful adaptation. Baldoni, however, painted a drastically different picture. He maintained that Lively had not only been agreeable to the comedic direction, but had in fact been an enthusiastic participant, actively contributing comedic ideas and embracing the flamboyant wardrobe. He argued that her sudden reversal, her shift to portraying herself as an unwilling participant, only occurred after negative public feedback began to surface. The phone call, in his view, merely exposed her true strategy to deflect blame, rewrite her own involvement, and strategically pin the responsibility for the film's perceived missteps squarely on him.
I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that, and the way you framed it, and how that made you feel. I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability, and I feel really grateful that you feel safe enough to tell me that that's how you feel and share that with me. And I'm really sorry. I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect. I am a very flawed man, as my wife will attest. And and I'm gonna f*** up. I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. I'm gonna piss you off, probably, but I will always apologize.
Always tease each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can. Like, this is a horrible thing to say. And he's like, I mean, I've got a long list. And I was like, oh, really? Because I just have one on my list. I didn't have anyone on my list.
And then it wasn't funny anymore.
No, it's so much more of a burn. He's like, wait, who? And I was like, okay, think of someone. Think of someone. Bob Newhart. I don't know.
The already complex legal drama took another significant turn with the overt involvement of Disney. The studio's decision to actively partner with Baldoni in the legal arena was a powerful statement, a clear indication of their confidence in his version of events, or at the very least, a calculated move to protect their own interests amidst a high-stakes Hollywood conflict. Industry analysts speculated on Disney's underlying motivations. Beyond the immediate concern for the It Ends With Us project itself, Disney likely saw a longer game at play. Baldoni, with his track record in family-friendly and emotionally resonant storytelling, potentially represented a valuable future collaborator, aligning perfectly with Disney's brand and broader content strategy. Protecting this potential partnership, even from perceived reputational risk associated with Lively's accusations, would be a prudent business move. Furthermore, Disney, as a corporate giant, likely sought to avoid setting a precedent that could be interpreted as condoning or overlooking accusations of creative manipulation within their productions. Skeptics, however, suggested a more pragmatic, strategically calculated approach. Perhaps Disney simply assessed Baldoni's legal position as inherently stronger, or perhaps they were primarily motivated by risk mitigation, seeking to avoid any public perception of siding with a star accused of undermining creative integrity, regardless of the ultimate truth. In a swift response to the courtroom bombshell, Lively's representatives convened an emergency press briefing. They vehemently reiterated their claim that no deliberate plot to sabotage Baldoni's career had ever existed. They emphasized the human element, the understandable frustration that can lead to private venting, and cautioned against the dangers of extracting emotionally charged fragments of conversation from their broader context. Any perceived plan to frame Baldoni, they insisted, was purely an interpretation, a potentially biased reading of a conversation that, in its entirety, would likely paint a far more nuanced and less incriminating picture.
Talking like this, me into my phone at 2 in the morning, but largely via text and voice note. And I will be honest with you, that is not my biggest strength. I love being with people and being in somebody's space and being face to face, and I feel like that's where I excel, and definitely fallen short at times in our text and voice note exchanges, because there's so much to communicate and there's so much happening, and all that to say, I'm just really looking forward to spending time together, and I think that's going to really go a long way for our chemistry, which I believe is there and has been there from the start. So I was so damn excited when you wanted to do this film. I felt it in the room when we met, and yeah, I think it does come from the both of us being hardworking and having a vision and not settling.
I mean, I have 2 other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But we're thinking of keeping her.
Does she play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of pretends to play with her. So in the beginning, our oldest is loving on her, and she's very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps away from her.
As the immediate shock waves of the leaked phone call subside, the legal battles surrounding It Ends With Us are far from over. The courtroom drama has likely only just entered its next act, with the phone recording now poised to become a central piece of evidence, meticulously scrutinized and dissected, potentially frame by frame, frame, second by second in any future trial. Regardless of the ultimate legal outcome, the fallout from this saga will undoubtedly linger, casting a long shadow over both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's careers. If the court ultimately sides with Baldoni, validating the accusations of calculated deception, Lively's hard-earned reputation, built on a foundation of wit, charm, and seemingly genuine authenticity, could suffer irreparable damage. Conversely, if the recording is deemed inconclusive or ultimately misinterpreted, Baldoni risks being perceived as having sensationalized a private conversation, weaponizing partial truths to bolster a defamation claim that ultimately fails to hold up under scrutiny. The "It Ends With Us" fiasco serves as a stark cautionary tale for Hollywood, highlighting the volatile power dynamics that can erupt when high-profile personalities clash over creative control, and underscoring the increasingly delicate and easily weaponized nature of digital evidence in the modern era. Will this dramatic saga lead to lasting changes in how Hollywood productions navigate internal disputes? Or will it simply become another cautionary anecdote in the annals of celebrity conflict? Can It Ends With Us, the film itself, ever truly recover its original heart and purpose amidst this legal and personal turmoil? Or will it forever be defined by courtroom transcripts, leaked recordings, and the bitter accusations exchanged between its two stars? Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni remain locked in a high-stakes battle, each insisting on the other's culpability, each with their careers, reputations, and futures hanging precariously in the balance, awaiting the judgments of both the court of public opinion and the cold, impartial decisions of the legal system.